Hi, my name is Emily Amiro, and this is my leadership philosophy video assignment. A couple years back, I was in a degree program for justice studies, and I had an elective course, and it was a leadership class, and it focused on the difference between how to be a leader instead of how to be a manager, and just the differences between the two types of roles. So coming into this course, I kind of assumed it would be similar to that, and I don't know why, because there's more to being a leader than just having followers. There's a lot that goes into becoming the type of leader that a person wants to be. So I think, like with a lot of things, the type of leader we become is really dependent on how we grew up and our experiences that we've had in life. And when I was younger, I've explained that my parents both suffer from alcoholism, and although I had a roof over my head, clothes on my back, they fed me, they were great parents. That still doesn't change the fact that I grew up with that and some of the traumatizing events that I did have to experience. But I know at the end of the day, they have taught me a lot, and though, like, how I grew up really shapes me into who I am. On top of growing up with parents that suffer from alcoholism, we had to move across Canada because I was born in Nova Scotia when I was only about 10 or 11 years old. So that was very, very difficult. My dad actually got in a bad accident. He was a fisherman for most of his life. So due to that accident, he couldn't fish anymore. So one day my dad was like, well, let's move to Medicine Hat, Alberta. His brother, or my uncle, lived there. So we moved about a block away. That was, I don't know, difficult and a little bit traumatizing as an 11-year-old, moving literally all the way across a country, knowing nobody, a completely different atmosphere, just very, very difficult. And then once we moved out here, my parents ended up getting a divorce not long after. I'm actually very thankful that they did, because I don't know if I'd have both my parents in my life if they didn't, just due to their drinking habits and their fighting. And then, so yeah, I grew up in Nova Scotia, moved out here. Getting into starting elementary school and not knowing anyone was very, very difficult. I was bullied. It was really hard to make friends, I guess. For me, I was like the outsider. I never really fit in because a lot of these people grew up together. They went to preschool together, things like that. So blah, 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 elementary school to high school, I was bullied. I ended up going to college. I did my 2 years with my diploma program at Medicine Hat College, graduated, and then so I went to Lethbridge and was doing my degree program. I realized that wasn't for me, and I ended up dropping out. I bring up all these experiences because I know that they shape me into who I am, and I don't, resent my parents or anything for everything or for anything that happened, because I've become who I am. And it took me up until a couple years ago to take all of these experiences into consideration and reflect back on all of them and learn from them, and take that and apply it to my own life and figure out exactly who I want to be and what kind of leader I want to be. And I have come to the conclusion that transformational leadership fits the role of who I am. So reflecting on my past and everything brings me to my beliefs. So some of actually all of my beliefs come from my parents. They have taught me to never give up. They are some of the most honest, strong-willed, motivational people I've ever met in my life, despite their addiction, which now they have both overcome, and I'm super, super proud of them. Sorry, I'm tearing up. But they have taught me that no matter what comes your way, what you go through to grow, what you go through. There's when you give up, you're letting all the things and all the people who have ever doubted you, you're giving them what they want, and that's just that's not fulfilling at all in life. I want to, and this is where my purpose kind of plays a role. I have seen my parents go through so much. I have gone through so much, and it makes me want to just be able to speak about what's happened in my past and be vulnerable to help other people know that there's more to life than what's happening currently. There's so much to live for, and there's just so much happiness and good times to be had ahead. Also, with this never giving up belief, my parents have always taught me to be myself. In a world where social media is so in your face, like everyone uses it, we spend more times on our phones than we do face to face. I know it's super, super difficult to be yourself because you want to portray yourself as someone so that others will like you, and it's very, very unhealthy. And up until the past couple of years, or the last year, I've really learned that my happiness stems from within myself, and if I can make myself happy, it doesn't matter about anyone else. I mean, obviously, I can not care about what other people think and still be empathetic towards them, and be kind, but just be yourself. It's really not that difficult once you learn to be self-aware, once you learn to love yourself, once you stem some sort of confidence, and once that begins to grow, it's just continuous. It never stops. Which brings me to my values. So my top 5 values that I chose at the beginning of the semester were advancement, freedom, health, honesty, and security. And while these all still play a very, very huge role in who I am and how I act and how I respond to people and situations, I've also found a couple more that really play a role into who I am. And one is open-mindedness. That comes from my parents and my beliefs of never giving up and being yourself. More people need to be open-minded. There's so many closed-minded individuals, and that's why I guess the world is the way it is today. And it's sad. I just wish people would be open-minded. Don't judge other people for their decisions. There is literally 1,000,005 reasons why people act the way they do. And then balance between, I've learned a lot, especially this semester, about balance between working full-time, going to school full-time, going to the gym 5 days a week, trying to balance seeing my boyfriend, trying to have a social life. It's very, very difficult, and it's extremely stressful. And so balance is something that I need to make sure I have, not only for just like the people around me, but for my mental health. It's extremely important. And then curiosity is another value that plays a role in this. You can never be too curious. It helps with the growth mindset. It keeps you growing. But so yeah, my beliefs from my experiences, how I've grown up, have in turn turned into my values, and my values have turned into my attitude. It have turned into my attitude and my behavior, and how I am as a person. And so the type of leader I want to be is a transformational leader, because they offer. Sorry, my computer just locked. Because they offer. They're looking for more than self-gain. They want to help others, and that's the type of person I see. And my purpose was to help others and find their happiness, find their confidence, find their own purpose. I just want other people to realize that You know, there's more to life than the bad times. I don't know. But yeah, so I think that kind of sums up my philosophy of how I got to my purpose and how I see myself as a leader. So thank you for watching, and I can't wait to learn more about myself as the years come.